Hi, I'm Duncan Moss, and I'd like to welcome you to my very first video blog. It's the first time I've ever done anything like this, so please bear with me. Um, if these video blogs do develop into a series, we'll be talking about a number of things that interest me. I'm going to start off by talking about the Beatles. Um, I've been in love with their work since I was about eight, when I discovered them through my parents' record collection. And I know there's a lot of people who do blogs pretty much just devoted to the Beatles. People like John Heaton, Beatle Brad, and they're very very good. Much better than I can ever be. So I'm going to talk about other things. I remember my very dear friend Heather Sears, the actress, saying to me when I was about 14, "Now, Duncan, I like the Beatles, but I don't want to hear about them all the time." Um, well, I shall take a leaf out of Heather's book, and you won't be hearing about the Beatles all the time, just some of the time. Um, I'm going to talk about them with an emphasis on George Harrison. I've always said that my favourite Beatle was John Lennon. But to be quite honest, I don't really have a favourite. I love them all. And uh, but George, I think, has sometimes been perhaps underplayed a little bit over the years. He, right from the very beginning of the Beatles' career, he proved himself to be a fabulous guitarist. Um his vocal is he's got a very nice voice, but it's not a particularly strong voice. And what happened when one of his early vocals, he's given on the Please Please Me album, "Do You Want to Know a Secret to Sing?" Which is John Lennon composition. And it was going to be a massive hit for Billy J. Kramer and the Dakotas. And George's pitching as he opens the vocal is a little bit up and down. Um, it works to George's advantage because he sounds like a very lovesick and nervous boyfriend who's telling a girl that how much he cares about her and not finding it easy to do so. So this little boy lost image works beautifully in the Beatles version. Billy J. Kramer's version may be more technically accomplished, but I don't think it's got the charm of George's version. And it would make up one of the songs in the Twist and Shout EP, which was taken from Please Please Me some 6 months after release, and proved to be a mammoth hit in the singles chart. I think it went to number two. The second Beatles album, we're shown George's first ever attempt to compose a song. And I think it's his first, and the first time he completed a song. And the song is called Don't Bother Me. It's a very worthy song. George said he didn't think it was much good, but I disagree. I think it's got some very nice guitar work. It's a very conscientious song. It shows that he's taken a lot of care with it. Now, very quickly, there's the story behind the song is that Bill Harry, who ran the newspaper, was it called? I'm not quite sure what it was called. That's very clever. I should have it. Oh, it's Mersey Beat. Yeah, he had Mersey Beat. He's the editor of Mersey Beat, which was helping a lot of Liverpool bands get to be known around the area. And he often said to George, "Are you going to write a song, or how's your song coming on, or whatever?" And he used to do this all the time, and George's song was called "Don't Bother Me." Uh, I don't know whether it annoyed George, but well, it's a bit of encouragement, so I don't think that ever causes any harm. And George's guitar work would just twang right through the Beatles' career. He didn't have another couple of songs until he had two on the Help album, "I Need You" and "You Like Me Too Much." Both songs are quite nice. They fit in quite well with the proceedings. But the next album, Rubber Soul, took a tremendous... George's composing took a tremendous surge forward. Think for Yourself and the magnificent If I Needed Someone, which was a homage to the Byrds. And the Hollies took the song and had a minor hit with it. I think the first time anyone had a hit with one of George's songs. During the Sgt. Pepper period, he had a song called "Within Without You," which was very spiritual, and I've forgotten that there was the Revolver album. First, we had the magnificent and very cynical Taxman, and "I Want to Tell You," which is also a very good song, and then a sort of almost like an experimental track, the "Love You Too," which was with the sitar. And George carries on with the sitar in Sgt. Pepper with "Within Without You," and two other songs, "It's All Too Much" and "Only a Northern Song," which don't get onto the finished Sgt. Pepper album, but they are used to great effect in the Yellow Submarine movie, which was made a couple of years after the Revolver album, which it originally appears on. And they work really well for the film. And at the time, they probably seemed to be considered by critics as throwaways, but they were in fact very intricate songs with a lot of instruments, and again, a lot of George's care was thrown in there. So the fact they found a home was very good. And we've then got George's another Indian song from George, which is "The Inner Light," which is on the B-side of "Lady Madonna." Now, "Within Without You" was the only first song that has Indian musicians on it, and George plays on it. But with "The Inner Light," George sings on it, but he doesn't play on it. So it's the first Beatle, I think, the first and only Beatle track where no Beatle plays an instrument on the track. And it's a beautiful, very melodic track. Again, George's composing was going to take a brand new phase with the White Album, when he came up with the wonderful "While My Guitar Gently Weeps," which had Eric Clapton playing on it with him. And it's a wonderful, wonderful song, very rich. Unfortunately, worldwide, there wasn't a single from the White Album. It would have been "Obla Di Obla Da," but some countries, I do believe, did release it as a single a little bit later with "While My Guitar Gently Weeps" on the B-side. I know that happened in Germany, but worldwide it wasn't released as a single, which was a shame, because that could have been a number one for Christmas 1968. But oh well, there we go. We then get to the last 1969, which is the last year that the Beatles are operating as a recording unit, and we have what is known as the Get Back sessions. At the moment, there's a lot of excitement related to the Beatles. We've got the Peter Jackson film coming out on Disney in a few days' time. I think it might even be tomorrow. Um, I lose track of time a lot of the time. But they started work in January 1969, early January, in fact, on the Get Back project. And Peter Jackson's film will cover the project in a much more detail, it appears, than the Let It Be film, which was released about a year later. Now I've got here, the CD deluxe version of Let It Be, which has come out to celebrate the film that came out in 1970. That was basically what Get Back turned into Let It Be, and this is the album cover of the Get Back album that before it was going to be released, but it got shelved, and this is what it would have looked like. Now we've got on here, the back here, the smallest writing I've ever seen. I cannot possibly read it. Even with Ringo's rotogravure, or whatever it's called, had apparently a magnifying glass on the first few thousand copies printed. But I don't think that would be any help. In fact, I think even if I had the Hubble telescope, I couldn't read this. So I'm going to get, hopefully, the vinyl version, where this will be the size of a 12-inch album, and I might have a fighting chance of reading it. Now, the Get Back sessions, George had two songs in the pipeline, I Me Mine and For You Blue, which was originally called George's Blues. And by the time the album had been remixed by Phil Spector, and the film had Let It Be had been cut to an acceptable movie, a year had gone by, and what happened was George wasn't happy with his vocal on For You Blue, so he took it off and put a new one on with and one where he sings "Go Johnny Go," as I think it's some encouragement to John, who was playing a funny, strange instrument, which I cannot remember what it was called, but it works beautifully. It's a good song. I Me Mine, it doesn't seem that during the Get Back recording sessions of January they had a decent version of it in the can, so they re-recorded it, Paul, George and Ringo, in January 1970, and that was the version that appears on the Let It Be album. So we've got really a load of tracks that go right across 15 months before the album, they were able to get it into the Get Back Let It Be album in the shops. The deluxe edition of Let It Be has some wonderful outtakes, plus a remixed version of the album, and some other goodies, a book. It's a very nice package. There's been loads of unwrappings on the internet. I'm not going to do that. But of course, it's 19. But Let It Be was released in 1970. It's now towards the end of 2021, so it's more than 50 years. But the COVID virus has caused a bit of a problem with all of this. Now, just before Let It Be got released in its 50th anniversary, George Harrison's family released a remixed version of George's first major album, George Harrison's All Things Must Pass. This is the CD version. It's very nice. It's got outtakes, demos, the poster, a little booklet. Uh, Very, very nice version. But I realise it's back to front because I'm using some very funny camera on my laptop. But it's a very nice package. There were several different packages available, including a deluxe one, which is in a wooden box made from a tree on George's estate, and it has inside it a deluxe version of CD version, deluxe vinyl version with all the extra albums. It's got a drawing signed by Klaus Vaughan. Some people would, it's an £150 price tag, but some fans would have said it'd be worth buying that just for that picture. You also get a statue of George based on the photograph at the front of the album, and his friar gnomes. And it's again a very, very nice very nice production, and there are various different versions, releases to try and amend, cater for people with all different pockets, different prices, and yes, it's a nice production. I just want to show you. There are lots of different versions of the Let It Be in the States. We didn't get them. I wanted with photographs, but this is Mojo, and that had a very nice photograph from the Let It Be sessions. I'll just get it down if you like. This is it. It's quite nice. Yeah, but didn't come with the album. We just went and bought it. Mojo is a very respected music paper, and it was lovely to have it. I've got a few other things I can show you. Just bear with me one sec, if you wouldn't mind. Now, the album, All Things Must Pass, was absolutely superb. I only got to listen to the album for the first time in the 1990s when I bought a cassette version of it. It was reduced in HMV in London, and I wasn't that excited about it, but I thought I'll just make up my collection. So I bought it, put it on the cassette machine, and for weeks I was listening to nothing else. I thought it was just a wonderful, wonderful album with wonderful songs. Cluttered production, yes. And I can understand why. I know that George did express a desire to make a presentation of the album with a slightly less cluttered production during his lifetime, but that never happened. So it's left to Mrs. Olivia Harrison and his George's widow and his son Darnie. Now, what they've done, it hasn't pleased everybody. The new mix of the album. I know Bobby Whitlock, who is one of Derek and the Dominoes, one of the Dominoes, who played on the album, isn't very happy with it, and a few other people are not happy. I think it basically goes down to personal taste. For me, I've noticed the Ballad of Frankie Crisp, the the thudding piano has been toned down quite a lot. George's vocal has been brought up. As I said before, he's not. He's got a lovely voice, but it's not particularly strong. It's very good for backing. It has. If it's when George is recording an album, he can strain quite quickly. But as I say, he's got a superb backing voice, and I've got here a few singles and things. This is whoops. This is George Harrison's "My Sweet Lord," the single from the album. This is the British pressing. With "What Is Life" on the B-side. Now, that's a very strange thing, because most people all around the world had another track, "Isn't It a Pity," as the B-side. But excuse me one moment. I just dropped another record on the floor. Whoops. You can tell I've never done this before, can't you? Oh, this is. Sorry. This is the Capitol on the Capitol label. This is the American pressing with "Isn't It a Pity," and of course the single was a smash hit all round the world for George. And the album being produced by Phil Spector. Phil apparently really was the one who persuaded George to release "My Sweet Lord" as a single. And there's a funny thing that happened with it. The single, people said, or some people said, that basically the owners of a song called "He's So Fine" by the Chiffons were angry and said that it was the same tune as "My Sweet Lord," and there was a big hoo-ha about it, a court case. I personally can listen to the two songs without thinking, hey, one is a rip-off of the other. Eventually it did get sorted out, and now some different territories give the royalties of both songs to either George's, I think it's EMI own the rights now, or the Chiffons publishers. And basically, in 1976, when the case was not going well for George had the guts to go out and write a song about the court case and make a Monty Python style video and release it as a single. And it had modest success. Didn't chart in Britain, but it did in the UK, and I think the Netherlands. It was also a minor hit. Just got a few other things I can show you. I did collect Beatle picture discs for a while. This is one for the Ballad of John and Yoko. There we go. And the Let It Be single. It's rather nice. This is Hey Jude, that's Revolution, and if I take it out of the back, it will have that rather lovely picture of them in pirate clothes with a parrot. I think that's just lovely. As I say, I've not got a massive collection of Beatles stuff. Lots of people probably got one much better than me, but and George's a lot of people had What Is Life released as a single, a follow-up single, because George had already got it on the B-side of the British release of My Sweet Lord. It didn't get released as a single, but Olivia Newton-John put matters to rights, and she released it as a single in 1972, and it was a top 10 hit. George didn't take a follow-up single from All Things Must Pass in the UK. If he had done, I think All Things Must Pass, the title track, would have been the one to use. I've just got some George Harrison singles I can show you. What happened is that George's solo career hasn't been a particularly easy one. On the success of All Things Must Pass, before he did the Living in the Material World, he became a bit of a hero when he organised the Concert for Bangladesh, which he did with George Harrison and friends. Bob Dylan made his first appearance on stage for 5 years, I understand. Badfinger helped out. So did Ringo and a whole host of other people, making a very fine concert, which was released as an album set. And there was also a single, which had modest success around the world. And then on the wake of, I think, of All Things Must Pass and the Concert for Bangladesh, George releases Living in the Material World with the hit single Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth, which was a worldwide hit, #1 in the States, number, I think, 7 over in the UK, and a hit right around the world. He was less successful with Dark Horse album, and then Extra Texture, which I've got somewhere. Bear with me just 1 minute. I did have it here. Oh goodness gracious. I can't find it. Well, that's just great, isn't it? Well, I'm not going to lose my cool. I'm not going to panic, despite the fact this is turning into a disaster. Where is the flipping thing? Oh. This is Extra Texture. This was George's... Again, I cannot. It's going back to front, but I'm sure there's a very easy way of rectifying this. And this is George's last album for EMI. In 1975, all the Beatles, since they split up in 1970, they'd all been putting out work for EMI. Until their contract expired in 1975. There's a picture of George looking very, very sheepish. I'm not quite sure, is it because of the contents of the album, I ask myself? We've got this is the CD, this is based on the album, the vinyl version. You've got a chewed up apple, if you see, and that's to symbolize Apple, the state of Apple at the time. I love the song You, which is from the album. It's a very nice song. I've played the album a few times and I haven't found it easy to get into. George clearly loves soul music, and the album is quite soul-y. I think it was perhaps he was more successful with when his next album, the first of Warner Brothers albums because he didn't stay with the EMI. Paul did, but John retired for a while, and George set up his had already got his own label, Dark Horse, and he decided to use that to release under the umbrella of Warner Brothers. And 33 and a Third is a lovely album. Basically, I think it's more successful than his previous two albums because he's used a producer to help him. And I think that has worked beautifully. It's really helped make his work a little bit more commercial. And he then had an album which is just called George Harrison. And it had a wonderful single called Blow Away, which I ran out and bought at the tender age of, I think I was 15 when I bought this. And it uses the same photograph on the single that's used on the album. And the album's just called George Harrison. It had some lovely songs. In fact, it's one of his best albums. It had the single's called Blow Away. It sadly didn't chart in the UK. It went to number 17 in, I think, America, and it was number 7 in Canada, of all places, which is lovely. It's got a song called Soft Touch on the B-side. I think Soft Hearted Hannah was on the American release. He then, 2 years later, he would be back in the charts in the UK, but under very, very sad circumstances. John Lennon had died. George releases this again somewhere from the album Somewhere in England. It's called All Those Years Ago, and it got to number 13 in the UK, number 2 in the States, and he uses pretty much the same photograph that he uses for the album. Somewhere in England, I think it's called. Yeah. Now, he then did an album called Gone Troppo, which he didn't do much promotion for, apparently because he wasn't very happy about the fact that on his previous album, Somewhere in England, 4 tracks had been rejected by Warner Brothers, so he'd had to go and write 4 new ones. But one of them, Lay His Head, would be the B-side of the album Cloud 9, which came out in 1987, and Lay His Head was released as the B-side. It's a lovely song. George would also have a follow-up single called When We Was Fab, and the album was released. It was 5 years after Gone Troppo, so George had quite a quiet 5 years just recording for his handmade movies. It's produced by Sir Jeff Lynne of the ELO, who does a fantastic job giving George a very commercial punch, but not spoiling. You can tell George's songs still have George's personality on them. And of course, they went and did the Travelling Wilburys project together, the 2 albums. That sadly would be the last album that George would have during his lifetime. Brainwashed came out a year after George had died of cancer in, I think it was in 2002. Again, a superb album, and produced by Sir Jeff Lynne. And apparently there is talk that there is a load more songs that could make up another album. And I've heard that Sir Jeff Lynne is interested in producing that. Well, he did such a good job in the previous 2 albums. I can't see any reason why he wouldn't do a great job in the next one. Really, I'm coming towards the end of this blog, this cock up, and I just wanted to show you something I have got, which I'm rather proud of. Here we got. This is. No, I thought that was a Beatles single, but it's a Peter and Gordon single. Well, Peter and Gordon have a very strong Beatles connection because Jane Asher, who was Peter Asher's sister, was engaged to Paul. This is a rather strange one that I've got. This is My Sweet Lord single on white vinyl, which is white see-through vinyl. Apparently there's a limited number, they're numbered. It's got, isn't it a pity on the B-side, so it's the international release, but it's on the Parlophone label. Now, I have never, I don't know what the secret is with Parlophone, because it was an Apple release, but nevertheless, it's lovely, and you've got the picture cover of George. That's just great. So I'm rather proud of that. Now, I wanted to show just one thing before we go. I'll just carry on just talking about the Beatles. They split up over 50 years ago, but with all these box sets coming out of solo albums and Beatle albums, plus this Get Back movie with footage that has been unseen for over 50 years and is produced by the very fine director and producer Peter Jackson. We're expecting some good things. I hope it will be released on DVD, because I don't have access to the Disney Channel, but I can wait. Now here we got, this is beautiful. This is one of my parents' old singles from Parlophone, and it's the She Loves You, on a pretty good condition with I'll Get You on the flip side. Just an original single, and that's the really nice thing to know, is that when this single was bought, the Beatles were in their heyday. It's not a reissue, it's a genuine one of the 1.6 million copies that were sold in the UK. I think it's just wonderful that the Beatles are still so incredibly popular, but then they were flipping brilliant, and brilliance always gets repaid eventually. I hope you've enjoyed my little blog. Sorry it's a bit amateurish, but I've never done this before, and I hope very much that all Beatle fans everywhere, if we all had to say every piece of Beatle merchandise in the world and every pressing, I think that'd be a shame. The great joy of collecting stuff is to have collections that are incomplete and get wonderful finds every now and again. But thank you very much for having the patience to bear with me, and I'll catch you again sometime. If you want to subscribe to this rubbish, please do so. If you want to be very kind or very earthful, give me a yes or no, say you liked it, well, that would be nice as well. I expect I probably only had 3 people. We'll get 3 people anyway. But God bless you all out there, fellow Beatle fans and bloggers everywhere. God bless. Bye-bye. Signing off now.